Picture this scenario, because I bet almost everyone watching this has felt it in the pits of their stomach at least once. You're driving to work, maybe running a few minutes late, and suddenly that check engine light pops on. Your heart sinks. You know, logically, that fixing the problem right now might cost $300. But you look at your bank account, and you have exactly $42 to your name until Friday. So, you ignore it. You turn up the radio to drown out the weird rattling noise. You pray. 2 months go by. And because you didn't have that $300 then, the car breaks down on the highway. You need a tow truck, which is $200. The original part that was broken has now destroyed your transmission. So the repair is $2,000. And because you can't get to work, you miss 2 shifts and lose $300 in wages. That initial inability to pay $300 has now spiraled into a $2,500 catastrophe. This isn't just bad luck. This is a mathematical trap. It is the distinct, measurable, and suffocating cost of not having money. My name is Ryan, and I spend way too much time thinking about the hidden mechanics of wealth and the invisible equations that keep most people stuck on the hamster wheel. If you're someone who feels like you're working harder every single year, but your bank balance never seems to actually go up, or if you feel like one bad Tuesday could ruin your entire financial year, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we aren't talking about stocks or crypto or how to get rich quick. We are talking about something much more insidious. We are talking about why being broke is actually the most expensive hobby you can have. Here's the thing about money that most financial gurus get wrong. They tell you that wealth is a result of discipline, and poverty is a result of bad habits. They say things like, stop buying lattes or cancel Netflix, as if saving $12 a month is going to revolutionize your life. But that advice ignores a fundamental economic reality known as the Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. The theory comes from a character named Sam Vines in a Terry Pratchett novel, and honestly, it explains the wealth gap better than most economists with PhDs. The theory goes like this. Take 2 men. One is rich, one is poor. The rich man buys a pair of $50 boots. They are high quality, leather, stitched properly. Those boots last him 10 years. The poor man cannot afford $50. He only has $10. So he buys the cheap, cardboard-soled boots. But those boots fall apart after 1 season. So the next year, he has to spend another $10. And the year after that. Over the same 10-year period, the poor man has spent $100 on boots, double what the rich man spent. And yet he still has wet feet. The rich man is dry, comfortable, and $50 richer. This is the math of being poor. You are forced to pay a premium for the lack of capital. You might be thinking, okay, Ryan, that's a nice story about boots, but how does that apply to my actual life in 2025? Well, look around you. This dynamic is everywhere. Let's talk about something as basic as toilet paper. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but stay with me. If you have $50 to spare, you go to Costco or Sam's Club. You buy the mega pack of toilet paper. The cost per roll might come out to something like 50 cents. You are set for months. But if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $50 to lock up in toilet paper inventory. You have $4. So you go to the corner store or the bodega and you buy the 4-pack. The cost per roll is $1.50. You are literally paying 3 times more for the exact same product, simply because you couldn't afford the bulk price. This is what we call the poverty premium. It applies to mayonnaise, laundry detergent, diapers, especially diapers, and almost every non-perishable good in your house. The math says that if you are broke, your inflation rate is technically higher than a rich person's inflation rate, because you are perpetually locked out of economies of scale. But it gets significantly darker than just groceries. Let's talk about the banking system. This is where I get genuinely frustrated, because the system is designed to punish you for stumbling. If you have $10,000 in your checking account, the bank treats you like royalty. No monthly fees, free checks, maybe even a little interest, although probably not much. But let's say you are struggling. You have $20 in your account. A subscription you forgot about hits for $25. You are now negative $5. Does the bank say, "Hey, looks like you're having a rough month. Let's cover you"? No, they hit you with a $35 overdraft fee. Think about the annual percentage rate, the APR, on that transaction. You effectively borrowed $5 for a day, and it cost you $35. That is an interest rate of 700%. If a loan shark did that, they would go to jail. When a bank does it, it's just standard policy. Last year alone, banks made billions of dollars in overdraft fees, almost exclusively from people with less than $1,000 to their names. The rich get paid interest. The poor pay interest. It is a wealth transfer from the bottom to the top, disguised as service fees. And look, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, just don't spend money you don't have. And theoretically, yes, you are right. But psychology plays a massive role here that we cannot ignore. There is a concept called scarcity mindset. Studies have shown that when you are legitimately worried about money, when you don't know how you're going to pay rent next week, your functional IQ actually drops by about 13 points. That is the equivalent of missing a night of sleep. Your brain is so consumed with immediate survival that you physically lose the capacity to make long-term strategic decisions. This is why when people are broke, they often make decisions that look stupid to outsiders. They take the payday loan with 400% interest. They buy the lottery ticket. They eat the fast food instead of cooking. It's not because they're dumb. It's because their cognitive bandwidth is maxed out just trying to survive the day. The Boots theory isn't just about the math of money. It's about the math of mental energy. The rich man doesn't just save $50 on boots. He saves the mental energy of not having to worry about his feet getting wet for 10 years. He can use that brain power to invest, to learn a new skill, to start a business. The poor man is stuck in a loop of constant low-level panic. Let's dig deeper into the buy nice or buy twice phenomenon with something bigger than boots. Cars. In the United States, unless you live in barely 3 cities, you need a car to work. A wealthy person buys a 3-year-old Toyota or Honda. It costs maybe $20,000. They pay cash or get a low-interest loan at maybe 4% or 5%. That car runs for 10 years with just oil changes. The total cost of ownership is low. Now, look at the person with bad credit and no savings. They need a car to get to the job to make the money. They go to a buy here, pay here lot. The predatory dealership sells them a high-mileage clunker that is worth maybe $4,000, but they sell it for $8,000. Then, because they have bad credit, the interest rate is 24%. If you do the math, over the life of that loan, they might pay $15,000 for a car that was worth $4,000. And here's the kicker. The car will likely break down before the loan is paid off. So they are still making payments on a dead car while trying to finance a new one. This is the poverty trap in high definition. You aren't just paying for the car, you're paying a risk premium because society has deemed you risky. And the only way to stop being risky is to have money, which you can't save because you're paying the risk premium. It is a cycle designed to keep you exactly where you are. And we haven't even touched on housing. Renting versus owning is the ultimate Boots theory example. When you rent, you are paying 100% interest. You get zero equity. You're paying your landlord's mortgage plus a profit margin. But to buy a house, you need a down payment. $10,000, maybe $20,000. If you're paying 50% of your income in rent, because rent prices are sky high, you can never save that down payment. You're trapped paying $2,000 a month in rent for an apartment that would cost you $1,200 a month if you owned it. The rich person buys the house, lowers their monthly overhead, and gains an asset that appreciates in value. The poor person pays more monthly for an asset they will never own. It's expensive to be poor because you are renting your entire existence. You are renting your shelter. You are renting your money through credit card interest. You are renting your stability. So this is where it gets really interesting, and honestly, a little scary. There is a hidden tax on your time as well. Think about the laundromat. If you have a washer and dryer in your house, doing laundry takes 5 minutes of active work. You throw it in, you walk away. If you have to go to a laundromat, it costs you $5.25, but it also costs you 2 hours of your life. You have to travel there, wait, and travel back. That is 2 hours you cannot spend working, resting, or being with your family. If you value your time at even minimum wage, the cost of that laundry is astronomical. Or think about food deserts. If you live in a low-income area, you might not have a giant grocery store with fair prices nearby. You have a convenience store with inflated prices. To get to the real store, you might need to take a bus and pay fare, plus an hour of travel time. The friction of daily life is higher when you don't have money. Everything is harder, everything takes longer, and time, as we know, is money. By stealing your time, poverty steals your future earning potential. Now, I can hear the objections already. Ryan, this is depressing. You're telling me the system is rigged and I'm screwed because I can't afford the nice boots. And look, I get it. It is depressing. But understanding the math is the only way to break the equation. Most people ignore this because it's painful, but you have to look at the numbers to find the exit. The problem is that standard financial advice tells you to invest in the stock market to get an 8% return. But if you are poor, the best investment you can make isn't the S&P 500. It's escaping the Boots theory penalties. If you have credit card debt at 20% interest, paying that off is a guaranteed 20% return on your money. No stock picker in the world can promise you that. If you buy a reliable toaster for $50, so you don't have to replace the $10 one every year, that is a return on investment. The first step out of this trap isn't trying to get rich. It's trying to stop the bleeding. This brings us to the most critical concept, the buffer. The only way to stop the cycle of buying the cheap boots is to artificially create a period where you don't buy any boots at all, so you can save for the good ones. This is why the emergency fund, that first $1,000, is not just boring advice. It is the weapon that destroys the poverty premium. When you have $1,000 in the bank, a flat tire is an annoyance, not a financial crisis that forces you into a payday loan. That $1,000 allows you to increase your insurance deductible, which lowers your monthly premium. See what happened there? Having money saved actually lowered your monthly bills. That $1,000 allows you to buy the bulk toilet paper. It allows you to fix the small leak before it becomes a floor replacement job. That first chunk of liquidity is the hardest money you will ever save, but it is also the most powerful. It switches the game from defense to offense. You have to start looking at your purchases not just as spending, but as solving a problem permanently. When you have a little bit of cash, the temptation is to treat yourself because you've been depriving yourself for so long. That's the psychological trap. You buy a nice dinner or a new shirt because you want to feel normal for a second. But if you take that cash and buy the high-quality work boots, or the reliable tires, or the dentist appointment to fix the cavity before it becomes a root canal, you are effectively buying your future freedom. You are paying off the poor tax, so you never have to pay it again. It requires a shift in thinking from, can I afford this monthly payment, to, what is the total cost of ownership? The dealership wants you to focus on the monthly payment because that hides the true cost. You need to focus on the lifetime value. Here's what most people don't realize. The system relies on your ignorance of these mechanics. Companies bank on you paying the late fees. They budget for your overdrafts. They depend on you buying the disposable razor blades again and again, instead of the safety razor that lasts a lifetime. When you start making decisions based on the boots theory, you become a bad customer for them, but a great CFO for your own life. You have to get angry at the math. Use that frustration. Every time you see a late fee, every time you see a convenience fee, let that anger drive you to build that buffer. You are fighting a war against entropy, and your ammunition is liquidity. So, what is the actionable step here? It's not sexy. It's not buy Bitcoin. It is this. Audit your life for vampire costs caused by being broke. Look at where you are bleeding money simply because you don't have money. Are you paying for private mortgage insurance? Are you paying high interest on a car? Are you buying single rolls of paper towels?
Identify the biggest leak, then ruthlessly cut everything else, and I mean everything, until you have the cash to plug that specific leak. If you need $500 to fix your car so it stops burning oil, selling your old clothes or doing DoorDash for a weekend is not just earning extra cash, it is a strategic strike against a future expense. You are buying your way out of the trap, one pair of boots at a time. This journey is unfair. I won't lie to you and say it's an even playing field. It takes 10 times as much effort to get from $0 to $10,000 as it does from $10,000 to $100,000. The wind is in your face at the start, but once you understand that being poor is a mathematical penalty, you can stop blaming yourself for being bad with money and start attacking the penalties themselves. You stop playing their game and start playing yours. You buy the boots that last. You buy the freedom to say no to the bad loan. And eventually, you walk right out of the hole. If this video sparked something in you, if you realized you've been paying the poverty premium without even knowing it, do me a favor and share this with someone who needs to hear it. We don't talk about this stuff enough. We talk about the wins, but we rarely talk about the traps. And hit that subscribe button, because we are going to keep breaking down these obscure financial truths until we all have the high-quality boots. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.